Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome back to our video tutorial on IT Professional Elective 1, which is the Virtual Systems and Services. And this topic, in this video tutorial, we will discuss on how to configure a guest operating system in a virtual machine. Okay. Well, of course, in order to do that, a virtual box uh, must be installed in a host computer. Okay. So again, a host computer is a physical computer containing different parts, different components, different hardware services like a CPU, memory, and storage devices. And of course, the guest or the virtual machine, okay, is an instance of hypervisor or the virtual box, in which that virtual machine can have a guest operating system. Okay. So now we need to uh, for this experiment we need to download an operating system, a Linux operating system, but will not be using a full-blown operating system. So Linux, but we will be using a small-scale operating system, Linux, which is called the dumb small Linux. Okay, so we need to download first the ISO. An ISO is a image file of a or a package file that containing all the libraries, all the software, all the programs. So we need to download an ISO, a Linux ISO. So in this case, we will be downloading a dumb small Linux from Google. Of course, you can search it from Google, dumb small Linux. Okay, then uh, you just click the the hyperlink, then it will display the website of the dumb small Linux. By the way, class, we can experiment other Linux derivatives like uh, Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, and many more. But those are a full-blown operating system and containing large file. But in this case, we will just experiment a small Linux operating system. Remember that an operating system is very important in a computer because this will serve as an intermediary. Okay, intermediary or in between, or it is the it serves as an interface of a user and a computer. The primary function of the operating system, actually all operating system, will allocate, will supervise, will manage hardware resources of a computer. Hardware resources of a computer is like those CPUs, memories, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go back to the dumb small Linux. So uh, here we have here a type of Linux that has a storage that has a file of 50 megabytes. So very small uh, it file. It is an ISO file. Once it is extracted, I think it will turn into around 300 or 300 or 250 MB. So, but in this Linux, it compresses about 50 megabytes. So, you have to download this Linux ISO. So once you click the download, uh, it will display options to be the options uh, from FTP download or HTTP download. So uh, in this case, I will choose the HTTP. Okay, so there, and then uh, we will download the current version. Actually, this type of Linux was developed in the late, I believe, 2008, but still very effective, or it's still an effective as learning curve for student. Okay, you can do networking, you can install other applications, you can do programming, text editing, and so on and so forth. So click current, and then you just click this version, DSL 4.4.10.ISO. So actually, I've already downloaded a while ago. Okay, I don't need to re-download again. So I've already downloaded and put it on desktop. Okay, so here, so I will show you that file. Okay, yeah, okay, okay. So DSL 4.4.10. Okay, now, so in as I mentioned a while ago, what we need is uh, the virtual box. Okay, in our previous video, I have explained how to download and install the virtual box. Okay, by searching from Google, then go to their homepage, then click the download uh, link of the VirtualBox. Then once you have downloaded the VirtualBox, you can locate that downloaded file, then double click, then you install. In installing the VirtualBox, very easy, just like an ordinary installing uh, other software. Like when you double click in an installer, it will just display the end user agreement and so on and so forth. Then it will display several buttons. Just click next, 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 then click finish. Then that's all. So I will show you the icon of the virtual box. Okay. So in my computer, I have here um, several applications I have installed in my computer. So um, okay, I'll just change into okay there. Okay, so there. So this is the icon of the VirtualBox. Actually, VirtualBox developed by Oracle company. It's a big company from United States. Uh, so now, once we installed it in our computer, okay, so an icon will be displayed on desktop or in the program menu. Then you just to execute the VirtualBox, you just double click or the right click, and then open there, and then it automatically execute or open the home page. And actually, it is the main screen of the VirtualBox. In my actually, I have used VirtualBox before, and I've already experimented some uh, operating systems. I've configured here two virtual machines that has to each virtual machine has its own operating system. So two virtual machines. So I have installed Nopix Linux. This is another derivative of Linux, quite efficient and very excellent for experimenting about programming. And also I I do like those Windows-based operating systems, especially those older versions. I'm fun with with basic applications, experimenting basic application, and do simple networking and programming. That's why I have configured here Windows XP, an older version, and another is the Nopix Linux. Okay, so at the uh, so when I click this one, this Nopix Linux, actually at the right side, there are some descriptions here. Actually, the description specifies or referring to the resources, okay, or the computer or the logical computer, or it specifies the virtual machine components. So the virtual machine components of Nopix Linux operating system are is these are it has base memory 512, uh, will boot on hard disk, acceleration, VTX, and so on. It has display, around 16 megabytes storage capacity of 5 gigabyte. And it has audio, it has networking, and so it has USB. And so remember that the virtual machine, okay, or the instance of the hypervisor, like the virtual box, it creates a guest uh, machine. Okay, this guest machine or this virtual machine is a software. It is a software. So when I say here about base memory, about there's a graphic memory, there's a storage memory, the storage capacity. Actually, this information here are just software. Okay, they are just software created by the VirtualBox. Okay, okay. The same thing with Windows XP. There are also descriptions here. Okay. So in our uh, lesson for this video tutorial is that we will configure another virtual machine, and we will install it using the operating system that we have downloaded a while ago, which is the DSL, okay, the dumb small Linux. Okay, so how to do that? Okay, so how to do that? So here, as you can see here, you see the new button here. Okay, new. So when you click new, a prompt will appear on the. It will appear a dialog box. Then it display prompts like specifying the name of operating system. Okay. So I'll specify, since that our experiment is a Linux. The name of the Linux is the dumb small. So I just specify its acronym DSL, okay, or DS Linux. That's it. So another is the machine folder. The machine folder is just you just ignore this one. The default location of the virtual machine is at folder VirtualBox and VMs. If you want to specify other folder, you just click this one, other, and so on. But you just ignore this one. And then the type of operating system is actually it is not a Windows, it's not a Mac OS X, so or it's not an IBM. It is a Linux. Okay. So next is we need to specify its version. Actually, the DS Linux or the dumb small Linux is runs for or execute on a 32-bit computer. Uh, a 32-bit computer, and its kernel is 2.4. I believe it's 2.4. So we will choose 2.4 kernel. This one, Linux 2.4 32-bit. Okay, and then once it is done, you just don't click the expert mode, because it's just this button is for advanced users. So just click next. And then now this is very important in making a virtual machine, that a logical computer or guest computer or the the instance computer is you have to specify a memory. The same thing with the we want to upgrade or we want to install RAM in our real computer. So we can determine its capacity by looking its side indicator like 256 MB or 1 gigabyte or 3 gigabyte and so on and so forth. But in this case, since that in our experiment using this type of Linux, it uses only a small footprint memory. So the 128 MB is okay. Okay, 128 MB is okay. But you can specify more if you want by just adding or by just clicking the up button, okay, or leveling down by the down button, or you can type it. Okay, for example, I want to use 256 MB, so 256. So in there, it will automatically adjust. Then here in the sliding bar, then or using this one, you can also slide. Okay, so 1024 MB. The 1024 MB is an equivalent to 1 gigabyte. Okay, you can slide it. So 512 MB. Okay, yeah, there 256 MB. So then click next, and then another is of course a logical computer or a virtual machine uh, has also an storage device. The same thing with host computer and other real hardware computer. It has a storage device to to store in order for us to store information or to use an operating system or to install game. You must use a hard disk or storage device. So we have to specify the capacity of the hard disk by clicking create. Okay, there. Then you just click. There are three types of hard disk using the virtual box. The VDI, the virtual box disk image, the VHD, virtual hard disk, and VMDK. So in this case, it recommends you to just the default button is the VDI. You just ignore that one. Just click the VDI. Okay. So then click next. Okay. So here, this is another feature of the VirtualBox that uh, if we want to have our hard drive or hard disk to be dynamically allocated. So meaning it will just allocate the storage capacity of the hard drive depending on the size of the operating system extracted during the installation. That's the idea of the dynamically allocated. So it will not be using a fixed uh, size storage allocation. Unlike the fixed size storage allocation, for example, when you specify 5 gigabyte hard disk, all in all, once you are done, okay, you will it will display or when you query the storage capacity of the operating system once you are there in the operating system, it always it always display as a fixed of 5 gigabyte. Unlike in the dynamically allocated, this is an excellent selection or option because it will only consume depending on the extracted files from the operating system, and the rest, okay, are to be needed by host operating system or host computer. Okay, so we will just click the dynamically allocated, then click next. Okay, next. So here, since that our Linux has a capacity of 50 MB. That's very small. I believe this one of the smallest Linux operating system around. It's the damn small Linux. But I think there is another Linux operating system smaller than the DRAM is smaller, around I think 10 MB or 25 MB. Quite, you imagine an operating system with that size, 25 MB, that can achieve, okay, the processing power. Okay, the same with other operating system. So anyway, so here it indicates here 4 gigabytes. So we will not be using the 4 gigabytes very large, okay, since that our operating system is just 50 MB. I know, yeah, 50 MB. So once it is extracted, it's around 250 MB. So we just need let's say 1 gigabyte. Okay. So when you're installing, by the way, when you're installing a large or complete size operating system like Windows 10, if you want to experiment other operating system like Mac OS X or Unix or IBM or OS2 and so on and so forth, you have to specify around 20 gig, okay, there. So or 30 gig, okay, depending on the hardware capacity of the host computer. If the host computer has 1 terabyte storage capacity, you can avail the 20 gigabyte. Okay. Okay. So in our case, just 50 MB, you'll just use specify 1 gigabyte. Then click create. Okay, there. And then there. So it's already created. So a virtual machine is created. So I have here in my configuration, I have 3 virtual machines. No, that has 3 operating systems: no PIX, Windows XP, and ES Linux. Okay. Okay. So um, the highlighted operating system is DS Linux, and at the right side, you will see the descriptions of a virtual machine. This description referring to the component, okay? Something like similar to the hardware component of a host, no? Meron, it has the system about base memory of 256 and the display 16 megabyte, storage capacity of 1 gigabyte, which we've already specified a while back. It has an audio, it has a networking capability, it has a USB, you can share folders and so on and so forth. Now, uh, it will not run yet, no? It will not run yet this Linux. We need to install. Okay, we a while ago we have downloaded the dump small Linux from their website, and we've already downloaded. And then from that ISO image file, we need to we have to use that, and then install it in our virtual machine. Okay, so by clicking um, storage, okay, there, I will repeat. By clicking the storage, I have to specify the uh, ISO file. Okay, so from storage, and then I need to okay, okay, just click the empty, and then click uh, this button, choose a virtual optical disk, and then choose a disk file. Okay, so I save it on desktop. So with the desktop, so I have here the ISO 4.4, and then click open. There. Okay, so it is set. It is there. It's already set, and then we need to click OK. Okay, there. So As you can see here at the storage, we have here a primary master is the hard disk around 1 GB, and the secondary master, okay, so another storage media is now the dsl.iso. Okay, so here in our system we have to configure in order to boot the optical drive. The same thing when we want to boot up any host computer. For example, we want to install new operating system or reinstall operating system, we need to configure the BIOS. Okay, the BIOS, that in that BIOS we have to make the first boot as the we make our optical drive as the first boot. Okay, this is the one to start. Okay, that's the idea. So by clicking the system, okay, there we have here the boot order, floppy, optical, then hard drive. Of course, uh, in the older days of computer, we it uses our about floppy devices. Okay, but for now, it's already obsolete. So we will just uncheck floppy. The second boot is the optical. That's it. The second boot is optical, but we need to go as a first option there. Okay, so just by clicking the move up button there, and then the next is the hard disk as the second, and then actually in VirtualBox you can also configure the networking capability with. So when you click networking as the first one to boot, it's possible. In this case, we will boot the optical media containing the ISO, the DSL Linux.iso. So now then click, you just ignore chipset and so on and so forth there. Okay, these are advanced topics of VirtualBox. Then click OK. Okay. So there. So we've configured, we've inserted the disk, the ISO to the media. Okay, so it is there. Optical drive is DSL. Then we have a hard drive, 1 GB. So it is there. Okay. Our base memory is 256. It is there. Okay. In our system startup, that the optical media will be the one to start. So it is configured. Okay. So now it is time to start this virtual machine. To start this virtual machine is something like when you when you push the start button of a real computer. Okay. So click start here, this button, and then wait about a few seconds, a few minutes. So there. Okay. Okay, there. So Oracle Virtual Machine, VirtualBox. No bootable system halted, so we will try it again. Okay, power off. Okay, so system. So it's the first media. Okay. Then the storage is, oh, we don't have. Why? So I need to specify it again. Okay, I need to specify it again. Okay, there. It replaces the virtual guest addition. So I'll choose again the DSL. Then click OK. So there. And then click start. Wait about few seconds. The virtual machine is initially there. So the main screen of virtual of the ISO image of the dumb small Linux there. Just click enter key. Okay. I have here. No? Okay. So the Linux is initiating. Okay. When we say initiating, uh, com- it extracting the essential files to the into the memory. There, it's fast. So we have now the dumb small Linux. Okay. Okay. So okay. So I have here the dumb small Linux. Okay. So that's it about the. Okay. So this is now the screen of the dumb small Linux. It is a Linux um, which you can uh, perform just like other operating system. You can browse internet. You can experiment in networking. You can do programming. You can the graphical interface is quite not the same. Actually, it's different in the Windows. It's not like attractive, but it's still an operating system. A 50 MB, you imagine a 50 MB operating system that performs well. You can do anything here, programming, networking, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the idea of configuring a virtual machine and install and uh, configuring a virtual machine and then installing the operating system to the virtual machine or loading the live media to the virtual machine like this dumb small Linux. Okay, so uh, if you want uh, to close this one, you just click machine and then active shutdown. Okay, that's it. Or just click here, then power off machine, then click OK. So there, it goes back to the main screen of the uh, VirtualBox. Okay. So have in this case, I have configured already three virtual machine. So Nopix, Windows XP, and the DS Linux. Okay. So you can experiment with other operating system like if you have installer of Mac OS X or if you have installer of other operating system, then try it on your laptop. For example, I haven't tried the interface or the graphical user interface of the Mac OS X. You can do that using the VirtualBox. Or I haven't tried the Ubuntu. Ubuntu is one of the popular Linux derivative. You can do that in the VirtualBox. Okay. Uh, Not only Windows. We users we regularly use Windows operating system, but you want to try also with other operating system. This is the time you can experiment using the virtual box. Okay, so this is about virtual system. Okay, and there are many services of it. So until next time. So this is the part 2 in our video tutorial on virtual system and services. Okay, so maybe in the next video I will discuss some services and some networking features of VirtualBox with these three operating systems I have installed it here. Okay, so until next time. So if you have question, I would be glad to answer your question and comment to our YouTube. Okay, so have a nice day.